Alright, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to start with the forms, like how you can use forms to actually send post requests, right? And like we had seen forms during the HTML, but like that was like just putting them on the page. Most of the functionality of forms comes from the backend, right? Because from the forms, you are actually interacting with the backend, and even though they are showing up on the page, they are adding functionality, right? So that's what we're going to see in this video, and you can simply start with that. I'm on the same situation as I was in the ending of the last video. Basically, there's nothing different here. So yeah, so now let's just add one or two more routes here, right? So first, I'll add another get route, which will be /add. Now, this might be a little confusing to you when you look at it for the first time, because we have two /adds here. But notice that this is post and this is get, and hence they are not the same at all. You can have the same get and the post route, and it is never a problem, right? All right. So now, and you could also have different, like we are going to use them for the same purpose, but don't get confused that you can't use different names for them, right? You can use any name. It's just that two get routes should not have the same name, two post routes should not have the same name. I mean the URL, and so on for all the other types of routes, right? But different routes can have the same URL. In fact, we'll see that they have, because giving names to these routes is actually, there's a whole convention to it which is followed in the industry a lot, right? So we'll see that later, but for now, let's just see this. Great. So what I'm going to do in this is I'm simply going to res.render new, right? A new EJS file. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do ls. I have the views in here. Then I'm going to do mkit touch views / new.ejs. Then I'll do bool views / new.ejs. So now I have my new.ejs open here, right? So yeah, so what I'm going to do in this is, first off, like always, I'll include my partials. I'll do include / partial / header.ejs. And similarly, I'll do include / partial / footer.ejs. Great. So now the next thing that I can do is start putting my content in here, right? And to put the content, I'll make a form. Right. All right. And in this form, all right. So first I'll put a heading so that you can see what I'm doing here. Add new fruit. So basically the use of this new.ejs would be to render a form that will then call this post route to add something to the array, right? I can close the index.ejs. So inside the form, I'll have a single input, which will be type equals text, right? And you will have to give a name, right? And I'll tell you why it's important to give a name. But whenever you are using forms on the backend, name is the thing that you cannot work without. It is the thing that definitely is needed, right? And you'll see the use of name in this video, right? So name I can give to be fruit, right? Because we're getting fruit. And I'll also make a label for it, even though this is just a simple example, so it's not compulsory to make a label, but I'll also make a label by ID of fruit, and then label for, if you've not forgot about forms inputs, you could give the type, and then you could make a label for a particular input, right? Which is in this case enter new fruit. And then I'll have a button, or I'll have another input, let's say, and the type will be equals to submit, and the value, basically the thing that will be written inside the button that will show up, will be add food. So alright, we've written a lot of code here, so let's just first visit this. So if I start my server, and then if I visit /add as a get, right, I should get my form. And I see I'm getting my form here. Great. And I'll remove this. This is the footer line because it actually is really irritating. I'll go to the partials, footer, great. So footer is done, and now I can refresh, and this line vanishes. So I've done enter new fruit and then add fruit. This is the simple view that we'll be having. However, we now needed to call this post route when we press this button, and then all of this should be done, right? So this is where the action and the method comes in. If you remember, when I was talking about forms, in the HTML section, two things had shown up as recommendations or autocomplete by VS Code, which were action and method, right? Whenever you use form, it makes these two fields for you and it leaves them blank by default. And this is because whenever you are using forms on the backend, these are the two things that you need to have necessarily. You could decide to have an ID or something if you want to style it, but an action and a method is necessary. And why is that? First of all, action and method both combined will be telling the form where it needs to submit to, right? So basically our form needs to submit to this route, right? So our action and method will tell it that, okay, submit to this route. And okay, so let's just do that. And inside the method, you can write get, post, and or all the other methods. So the method will be the type of the route we are going to submit this form to. So we're going to submit this to a post route, and that's why the method will be post. And action will be the URL that we have. Like the post route has a URL of /add, so the action will be /add. So now this form is submitting to /add and method is post. And so if I refresh this right now and I enter new fruit, something random, and I add fruit, I see melon is added, and that's really a illogical right now. But the thing is that we have added melon by hard coding. We'll change this to the thing that's entered here in just a moment. But you see that the post route is working, and just to make our navigation a little easier, I'll do something like this. Inside this, I'll give a tag. In the href will be /add, and then I can write add new fruit. So if I refresh this page, I get add new fruit here, right? And I'll restart the server to remove this melon, or I'll let it run. Great. So I'll do add new fruit. It takes me to this right thing here. I'll enter any random thing. I click add fruit. A melon is added, right? So now our post route is being called by this form right here because we have given action /add and method of post. So it is calling the post route with a URL of /add, which we have made here, and in which we are pushing the melon into the array, right? So this is great. We have made a working form in our website. But of course, we do not need to simply add melon, right? So how do I actually access the thing that I've entered in this input right here? So first of all, before I even do that, I'll do console.log rec.body, right? One thing that we had seen earlier was rec.params, in which we could see the thing that we've entered, like if this was / something with a parameter, we could access the request parameters using rec.params. Now I'll console.log rec.body to show you what it actually is. Refresh, add new fruit, click add fruit. Great. So now this post route has been called once, and if I see here, of course, you need to restart the server, and I'll do that quickly. Great. And now if I do that same thing again, I'll add new fruit, add fruit. So now my post route has been called once, and I see I'm getting. So this will not work out of the box right now. And what is the reason behind that? That like what basically we were aiming for here is that this rec.body will have everything inside this form. It will have a dictionary where where the fruit will be the thing that we've entered in this input. However, this does not work out of the box. Why? Because Express does not do that for us on by itself. We need to tell it to do that separately. And to do that, we actually have to install a new package, which will be a package that we'll use in all of the apps that we make, just like Express and EJS. So that is named body parser, right? So then I can hit enter, and then it will get installed. So what body parser will basically do is, after running like 1 or 2 lines inside this app.js again, body parser will make this rec.body object for us. So then, of course, you first need to require it in your code. And it will be body dash parser. Then we need to write another line, and like this is a line that I'll not go into, and this will be a really weird syntax because it will be a lot of detail if I go into it. But what you can do is you can visit the body parser documentation and you can see what this line does, or you could like just copy this line into your new project whenever you are like starting, right? So we're gonna tell the app to use body parser, and this is fine. But what follows this is something that I'm not going to explain because this will take up a lot of time, plus it doesn't have a lot of significance here, right? As long as you write this in your document, this will work, right? So you need to write this exact thing, body parser.url encoded, and then in the brackets you need to give a dictionary where is it extended true, right? So you could check the docs if you want to see this, but it's not really necessary. And as long as you've done this, your body parser should work. And then in here, I'll do node app.js. So now if I hit the post route again, I do add new fruit, add fruit. I've hit the post route, and I see I have a new like dictionary where the fruit is an empty string. Just to demonstrate again, I'll do add new fruit, some random string right here, and then I'll enter add fruit. I go back, my new fruit has been printed out. So now you see how easy it is. We can just use rec.body.fruit, and now if I restart, I was using node1 commands there, and now if I refresh and I do add new fruit and I click on add fruit, I see melon still gets added because we are still pushing melon, but nothing has been printed. It is an empty line has been printed because we printed an empty this. I could do like ABCD here, and I enter fruit, and ABCD gets printed. So it's now really evident what we could do. We could simply do add.push, right? And we could remove this line. So we now have add.push rec.body.fruit. And to make this work, we'll have to restart the server. And now this should like work as we want it to work, like, right? Node app.js, great. Refresh, add new fruit. Now I could enter melon, but I'll not enter melon, so that you can see it better. So then I'll enter lychee, add fruit. I get lychee added to the list. Excellent. Now just to test melon is working too. Melon is added to the list. Excellent. So I can add as many things to the list I want, and it will keep on going until the server is not restarted or the server does not crash. All of these things will not be lost, and we will have the array for all times. But as soon as the server is restarted, we will lose this array, and to like get permanent data, we have to use databases. I'm repeating again, which we'll see later. But anyway, what we've seen in this video is how we made a form, first of all, and how we used action and method to post to a specific route, right? And inside that route, how we used rec.body to access the inputs inside of this. We could have multiple inputs And the reason fruit showed up was because of this name, right? That's the use of name. And it's not because of the ID. Even if I didn't have the ID, I could use dot fruit. And if the name was ABCD here, I'd have to use rec.body.abcd here. So that's the use of the name. And you could have infinite inputs in here and you could use all of their names and you could just do whatever you want with the rec.body object, right? So this was a really important concept, especially this rec.body thing is used a lot, right? So again, we'll get a lot of practice with this because we are going to build a proper, a good full production level app, like I said in the starting of the course. And that's going to start real soon. So when we start with that, we'll actually be practicing a lot with this. And that's why I've not given a lot of exercises during this intermediate express section, because if we spend too much time or doing just one exercise, then we'll start lagging behind. And to see all of this work together, we actually need to make a big thing, right? So that's why I'm directly thinking of starting with the main things that we have to make in this course, which will be really interesting. Like I'm telling you right now, I've thought what it would be, and you'll be excited to make that. But for now, we can just limit ourselves to this discussion, what we were having, that this is how you access a post route using a form, right? Great. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.